Do you think some jobs are only for men and other jobs are only for women? Some people think that way. They see a woman, and they do not expect her to have strong, greasy hands. They see a mechanic, and they do not expect her to be a woman. I have been a mechanic my whole life, and I have learned that a good heart can be in any body, and a good mind can do any job. This is a story about a day when a group of men learned that lesson too. Have you ever been told you could not do something because of who you are? I would love to read your story in the comments. My name is Carla, and my story begins in my father's garage. My father was a car mechanic. He had a small, old, and messy garage at the edge of our town. It was not a fancy place, but it was my favorite place in the world. I grew up in that garage. The smell of oil and metal is the smell of my home. While other little girls played with dolls, I played with wrenches and spark plugs. My father taught me everything he knew. He taught me to listen to an engine, to understand its language, its secret problems. He told me, "Carla, a car is just a big puzzle, and you are a great puzzle solver." When he passed away, he left the garage to me. His garage was now my garage. It was not easy. I was a young woman in a man's world. Many people in our town did not trust a female mechanic. They would look at me and then at their broken cars, and I could see the doubt in their eyes. I had to work twice as hard as any man to get their respect. But slowly, I did. My work was good. I was honest, and I was the best mechanic in town. My story happens on the day of the annual Classic Car Rally. It was a big event in our town. Rich people from all over the country would bring their beautiful, old, and very expensive cars for a race and a show. The town was full of fancy cars and their teams of professional mechanics. The biggest star of the show was a very rare, very beautiful 1930s racing car. It was owned by a very rich and very arrogant man named Mr. Sterling. The car was the color of a dark red wine, and it was perfect. But on the morning of the big race, the car would not start. Its engine, a very old and very complicated machine, was silent. It was a disaster. Mr. Sterling was furious. His own team of 5 professional male mechanics were all working on the car. They were all in their clean, white uniforms. They worked for hours, but they could not fix it. The engine was a mystery to them. The start of the race was only a few hours away. Someone in the crowd, a man from my town, told Mr. Sterling, "There is one other garage in town. The old Miller garage. His daughter runs it now. She's very good." Mr. Sterling was desperate, so he sent for me. I arrived in my old pickup truck. I was wearing my normal work clothes, my greasy blue overalls and my strong work boots. I walked over to the beautiful, broken-down car. Mr. Sterling and his team of 5 mechanics all looked at me. And then, they looked at each other and they smiled. Small, cruel, condescending smiles. "Mr." Sterling looked me up and down, and he laughed a short, ugly laugh. "This is your great mechanic?" he said to the man who had called me. "A little girl? What is she going to do? Ask the car nicely to start." His team of mechanics all laughed with him. I felt my face get hot with anger and humiliation. They had not even seen my work. They had only seen my face, my gender, and they had decided I was a joke. I did not say a word to them. I just looked at the beautiful old car. And then I looked at the open engine. And I smiled my own small, secret smile. Because my father had taught me all about this kind of engine. It was my favorite kind of puzzle. The team of mechanics were all still smiling their arrogant smiles. They stepped back to give me space, like they were watching a show, a funny performance. They were waiting for me to fail. I ignored them. I ignored Mr. Sterling. In that moment, there were only 2 people in the world, me and the beautiful, broken engine. I leaned over the car. It was a magnificent machine, a true piece of art. My father would have loved it. I did not grab my tools immediately. First, I just looked. I observed. Then, I listened. "Try to start it," I said to the driver. my voice calm and professional. He turned the key. The engine made a sad, weak, choking sound. It was the sound of a heart that was not getting what it needed. I closed my eyes, and I just listened. The men around me were quiet now, watching me, confused by my strange, silent method. I opened my eyes. I gently placed my hand on the cold metal of the engine block. I could feel the small, wrong vibrations. Then I leaned in closer. I could smell it. A smell that was too rich with gasoline. The fuel mixture was wrong. It was a simple problem, a problem that the fancy, modern mechanics with their computers had not even thought to look for. These old cars were not computers. They were living, breathing things. They had a soul, and this one was telling me it could not breathe. "I need a wrench," I said, not looking at anyone, "and a flathead screwdriver." One of the mechanics, a young man who looked a little less arrogant than the others, quickly gave them to me. I started to work. My movements were quick, sure, and confident. I had worked on this type of engine 100 times before with my father. My hands knew the geography of this machine. I adjusted the carburetor. I tightened a loose connection. I cleaned the spark plugs. It was simple, careful work. It took me about 20 minutes. The whole time, the men just watched me in a new, strange silence. When I was finished, I stepped back from the car. I wiped my greasy hands on a rag in my back pocket. I looked at Mr. Sterling, who was watching me with a confused, impatient look on his face. And then I looked at the driver. "Try it now," I said. The driver got in the car. The whole crowd was silent, waiting. He turned the key. For 1 second, there was silence, then a small sputter, and then a huge, beautiful, powerful roar. The engine came to life. It was not a sick, choking sound anymore. It was a perfect, strong, and healthy sound, the sound of a happy engine. The crowd of people who had been watching all burst into a loud, happy applause. They were cheering for me. Mr. Sterling and his team of 5 professional mechanics just stood there, their mouths open. They were in a state of complete, total shock. They had worked for hours with all their fancy equipment and had failed. And I, the little girl in the greasy overalls, had fixed their impossible problem in 20 minutes with 2 simple tools. Mr. Sterling slowly walked over to me. The arrogant, loud man was gone. He looked humbled. He looked at me with a new, deep, and very real respect. How did you do that?" he asked, his voice a quiet whisper. I just gave him a small, confident smile. "I listened," I said. "The engine told me it could not breathe, so I helped it." In that moment, I was not a little girl anymore. I was a mechanic, and I was the best. The sound of the perfect, powerful engine was the only sound for a moment. And then the applause from the crowd washed over me. Mr. Sterling just stared at me, his face a mix of disbelief and a new, dawning respect. His own mechanics, the 5 men in their clean white uniforms, were looking at their shoes. They were completely and totally humiliated. Their pride was more broken than the car had been. Mr. Sterling cleared his throat. He was a proud man, but he was not a complete fool. He knew when he was wrong. He walked over to me, and in front of everyone, he offered me his hand. "Ms. Miller?" he said, using my last name for the first time, a clear sign of respect. "I am deeply and truly sorry. My words were unprofessional, and my attitude was unacceptable. You are not a little girl. You are a brilliant mechanic. One of the best I have ever seen." I looked at his outstretched hand, and then at his face. I saw that his apology was real. I shook his hand, a firm, professional handshake. "Thank you, Mr. Sterling. I said, my voice calm. I am just happy the car is running. The race started an hour later. Mr. Sterling's beautiful red car did not just start. It ran perfectly. It won the race, easily. After the celebration, when the trophies were given out, Mr. Sterling went up on the stage. He accepted the big, shiny trophy. But then he did something that surprised everyone. He called my name. He asked me to come up on stage. He handed the trophy to me. "I did not win this race today," he said to the crowd, his voice loud and clear. "My car did not win this race. Miss Carla Miller won this race. Without her, my car was just a piece of beautiful, useless metal. She is the real champion today." Later, after the crowd was gone, he found me again. He was not just apologetic anymore. He was a businessman who had seen a rare and valuable talent. "Ms. Miller, Carla," he said, "I would like to offer you a job, a real job. My team of mechanics, they are good with computers, but they have no soul. They do not understand the art of these old machines. You do. You have a gift your father gave you." I was so surprised. "What kind of job?" I asked. "Not a job as a mechanic on my team," he said. "A job as the head of my entire classic car division. I have a collection of over 50 vintage cars. They are my passion. But they need a person who truly understands them. I want you to run your own workshop. I will give you anything you need. The best tools, a new, beautiful garage, a great salary. Your only job will be to take care of these beautiful old cars." I was speechless. It was a dream job. It was the kind of opportunity I had never, ever imagined. It was a chance to work with the most beautiful cars in the world, and to be paid well for it. It was everything I could ever want. But it was in the city, hundreds of miles away from my home. It would mean leaving my town. It would mean leaving my father's small, old, messy garage behind. That night, I was back in my own garage. The big, shiny trophy was sitting on my messy workbench. It looked so strange and out of place, next to my father's old, worn-out tools. I looked at the walls, at the place where I had grown up. This garage was my history. It was my heart. The job Mr. Sterling offered me was a perfect future, but did I have to give up my past to get it? I stood there, in the quiet, oily silence of the garage, with an impossible choice in front of me. For 3 days, I thought about Mr. Sterling's offer. I walked around my small town. I talked to my father's old friends. I spent hours in my quiet, messy garage, just looking at his old tools, at the pictures of him on the wall. The job he offered was a dream. But this garage, this was my father's dream. It was his whole life. How could I just leave it behind? I thought about what my father would want for me. He was a simple man, but he was so proud of my talent. He did not teach me about engines so I could stay in our small town forever. He taught me so I could fly. I realized that the best way to honor his memory was not to stay in his old garage. The best way to honor him was to take the gift he gave me, my skill and my passion, and to build something new and amazing with it. I made my decision, but I was not just going to accept his offer. I was going to make my own. I called Mr. Sterling. My voice was not the voice of a simple small-town mechanic. It was the voice of a confident businesswoman. "Mr. Sterling," I said, "I have considered your very generous offer, and I will accept it, but with 2 conditions." He was quiet, surprised. I continued. "First, I will not leave my town, and I will not leave my father's garage. This is my home. Instead of me coming to your city, I want you to invest here. I want you to help me build a new world-class car restoration shop right here on the land my father owned. We can call it the Miller Sterling Restoration Center. And my second condition, I said, my voice full of a new brave passion, is that our new business will have an apprenticeship program. I want to train young mechanics, especially young women, who love this work but are not given a chance. I want to pass on the gift my father gave to me. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. And then I heard Mr. Sterling laugh, but it was not an arrogant laugh. It was a laugh of pure, surprised respect. "Ms. Miller," he said, "you are an even better businesswoman than you are a mechanic. It is a brilliant idea. Yes. Absolutely, yes." That was 2 years ago. Today, if you visit my small town, you will see the Miller Sterling Restoration Center. It is the most advanced and respected classic car workshop in the country. Our apprentices come from all over the world to learn from us. Mr. Sterling is my business partner and my friend. He visits often. My life is very different now. I am a successful business owner. But I am still Carla. I still wear my greasy blue overalls every day. And my greatest happiness is still the moment when a beautiful, old engine that was silent and broken roars back to life under my hands. I was mocked for being a mechanic. But that one ugly moment of disrespect was the start of my greatest adventure. It gave me the chance to prove that it does not matter if you are a man or a woman. All that matters is the skill in your hands, the passion in your heart, and the courage to build your own dreams. If this story about following your passion inspired you, please give this video a like. What is a skill that a parent or a teacher gave to you? Share your story in the comments below. For more inspiring English stories about strong women, please be sure to follow our channel.